So today's few verses deals with the topic of, first of all, swearing oaths by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also not to prevent yourselves from doing righteous deeds or good actions by swearing oaths, and also not to prevent yourselves from maintaining ties and relationships, family, relatives, cousins, not to cut people off especially through using Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name as in an oath, and also deals with what kind of oaths are actually taken into account by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what kind of oaths are overlooked. So in the previous verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we dealt with a few weeks ago, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was encouraging and commanding the believers to spend in His way, charity. He was commanding them to also look after the orphans properly, with generosity and kindness. He was also commanding to look after the believers, for them to look after their families, their spouses, with kindness and generosity. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, do not prevent yourselves from doing these good things, or any good things, any good deeds, or any good actions, especially, particularly, by making an oath in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا تَجْعَلُوا اللَّهَ عُرْدَةً لِأَيْمَانِكُمْ. Urda basically means to make something a barrier or an obstacle between you and something. So don't make the name of Allah, meaning don't make your oath, which you take, a yameen is an oath. Yameen is called yameen because the Arabs used to, when they make a promise or an agreement, one would put his right hand to the other person's right hand together like this, one on top of the other, to confirm the agreement or to make it stronger or to emphasize that they have agreed to something. That's why it's called yameen, because the right hand is used to make that contract or agreement or promise or whatever it is. Then also the right hand is called, the word also comes from a word to mean barakah. Al-yad al-yumna also means the hand which has barakah. Why? Because it's easy to do things. We find it easy. Most people who are right-handed, if you're left-handed, you'll find it easy with the left hand. But most people are right-handed, and they find it easy to do things with their right hand. So in a sense, barakah is not just related to wealth or abundance or having lots of things. People think, I wish Allah gives me barakah in my wealth, in my children, and in everything, and we think of abundance. We think if Allah gives us lots of wealth, lots of money, lots of children, all this is barakah. Yes, it is, but it's not always, barakah is not always quantity. Right? Your right hand, you can do everything easily. You can grasp this cup. Whatever you want to do with your right hand, writing, whatever you want to do, hold something, push something, pull something, you find it easy to do. So barakah also means when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes something easy for you. You might have an easy life relatively, without much hardship, a good job, a good family, good relations, good health, which enables you and facilitates for you to do things. This is also barakah. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it's making your life easy. This is also barakah. So the right hand, yameen, this is now come to be used for the Arabs, yameen as oath, right? It means when you swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you make an oath, when you say, I swear by Allah, I will never speak to so-and-so. Or you swear by Allah, I will do 100 rak'ah of prayers, or I will do 30 days of fasting voluntary, or something like that. You swear by Allah, you take an oath, right? That's yameen. In Islam, before we go into the topic, very quickly, there's differences between like nadhar and yameen. Nadhar you can translate as vow, when you vow to do something, or when you promise to do something. And oath is yameen. The verse is talking about oaths. Promises or nadhr could be something like you promise to do something. You promise to Allah that, oh Allah, if I get better, you're ill, you find yourself ill. Often, probably your parents would do this for you. If you cure my son or my daughter, I will give £100 in donation to the masjid. This is like a promise or a vow that you will do so and so thing if this happens. You promise, it's a promise to yourself, to Allah, and you should fulfill that vow. It's wajib. Secondly, yameen is an oath where you swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a verbal statement, with a phrase such as by Allah, wallahi, or billahi, or I swear by Allah, uqsimu, I swear by Allah that this and this, such a statement is true. Somebody asks you, accuses you of something, and you say, I swear by Allah, I did not do that thing. Or you say, I swear by Allah, from this day onwards, I will not visit such and such a person's house. That is a yameen, that is an oath. I swear by Allah, from this day onwards, I will give X, Y, and Z, or I will do X, Y, and Z, or I won't do X, Y, and Z. This is yameen, this is an oath, where you take the name of Allah and you make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala your witness not to do something. Generally, very basically, to keep it short in terms of the legal rulings, we don't want to go into it too much, but just as a summary, there are 3 types of oath. One, it's called al-yamin al-ghamus, which is to swear by Allah that one did not or did do something in the past while deliberately lying about it. So that's one type of oath. This is a major sin. You don't have to do any kafara, you have to repent, you have to do tawbah. So if you lie in your oath, if you use Allah's name to lie, somebody asked you, brother, did you break into this room? Did you take this object? Or did you say this and this to this person? And you say, and you lie. You know you did do those things. And you say, I swear by Allah, I didn't do it. You deny it. This is a major sin, and you have to do tawbah for it. That's what they call yamin ghamus. It's something where you deliberately lie, but you swear by Allah. The second type is yamin mun'aqida. This is a normal oath to swear by Allah to do something or not to do something in the future. If one breaks this type of oath, expiation is due. So, like I said, if you say, I will never visit this person's house, or you say, I will do so-and-so thing, I swear by Allah, and then you don't do it, that means you've broken your oath, you've broken this yamin, and you have to pay kafara, you have to pay compensation. There's options. You can feed 10 poor persons, or you can clothe them, or in the past they used to release a slave. The third type, and this is the second type, is what the verse is mainly talking about, this verse. And the third type is a mistaken oath, yamin laghu, which is in the next verse, which is to swear about something in the past, thinking that it is true, whilst in reality it's not. So it's a mistake. It's a mistake. It's a yamin laghu. It's a mistake. And there's no expiation due. So that's the basic 3 types of oaths. And as I said, a vow is to verbally swear something, to do something if something happens. If, oh Allah, if you cure my child, I will donate £500, £200 to the masjid. That is nadhr. That's slightly different, but it's still wajib to fulfill that vow. So here in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and do not make your oaths by Allah, or literally, وَلَا تَجْعَلُوا اللَّهَ عُرْدَةً لِأَيْمَانِكُمْ. Don't make Allah an excuse or a barrier that prevents you in your oaths, that prevents you from doing good things. So in this verse, Allah is commanding us not to make Allah, in other words, don't make an oath by which you swear by Allah as an excuse not to do righteous deeds, not to وَتَتَّقُوا وَتُصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. Don't swear by Allah that you will not do something which falls under one of these categories. So for example, if you said, I swear, but you had a big argument with somebody, right? And this is what happens usually. You have a big argument with somebody, and then you say, I swear by Allah, I'm never going to see your face again, or I'm never going to visit your house again. I swear by Allah. This is an oath, but this is the type of oath that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, do not do this. Or you fall out with your business partner. Anything, it could happen, and this happens a lot. It could be that you've been discriminated against, you've been dealt unjustly by somebody. Somebody's wronged you, somebody's hurt you, somebody's let you down. It could be any of these things in personal relationships. And then you swear by Allah, although in today's language, in our cultures, we don't usually mean a technical oath. When we swear by Allah, different communities, different cultures, we don't usually mean this technical oath that the Arabs used to do. So what used to happen with the Arabs, they used to swear by Allah and knowingly they're making an oath. But regardless, Allah is saying don't do this thing, because it's natural when people fall out, when people have a breakdown in relationship, or people been wronged by somebody. It's natural for the other person to be angry, to take vengeance, to vow to do something, that I'm never going to visit this person, or I'm never going to help this person, or I'm never going to answer this person's call. All of these things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, don't do this. This is one of the meanings. Do not prevent yourselves from doing good deeds by saying, but I have sworn by Allah not to do such and such. Because this is what the Arabs used to do. They would swear by Allah to cut off relations or to do something, not do something good. And when they're asked about it, they say, can't help it, I've made an oath. I've sworn by Allah. I have to maintain that oath. So Allah is saying, don't do this. The second meaning of this is, according to some scholars, they said that reduce the amount, it means reduce the amount of oaths that you make overall, right? Because the more oaths you make, the more likely it is that you will break these oaths. So this verse where it says, وَلَا تَجْعَلُوا اللَّهَ عُرْدَةً لِأَيْمَانِكُمْ, and do not make your oaths by Allah an excuse, it means do not make lots of oaths. Do not continuously or easily at the drop of a hat continuously to make oath. Don't always say, I swear by Allah I'm going to do this, this, this. I swear by Allah I'm going to do that, that, that. It means reduce, be someone who doesn't make many oaths. Because the more oaths you make, you're liable to be breaking those oaths. You will not be able to fulfill them. The third meaning, according to the scholars, is that, and it's very similar to the first meaning, when you make such an oath that prevents you from doing something good, you must break your oath. You're not allowed to keep that oath. So when you say, I will never visit my uncle, I will never visit my son, I will never visit my brother or sister because they did this to me, or they took this property, or they cheated me out of this, break that oath. Once you make it, if you know it goes against Sharia, it goes against Islam, it goes against the guidance of Islam, you have to break that oath. Do not fulfill that oath. This is the third meaning. The Prophet ﷺ is reported to have said in a hadith in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, إني والله إن شاء الله لا أحلف على يمين فأرى غيرها خيرا منها إلا أتيت الذي هو خير وتحللتها. By Allah and by His will, I do not swear against doing a thing, but do it if I find that doing it would be better, and break my oath. In another hadith of the same, so the Prophet ﷺ is saying that when he makes an oath to do something, obviously the Prophet ﷺ would never make an oath the type that is talked about in the verse here. The verse is talking about an oath where you are prevented to do something good. The Prophet ﷺ is saying something slightly different, but it gives you the importance. He's saying, when I make an oath to do something good, and then I find another option which is even better, I break this oath and do the other thing. Do you understand? So the Prophet ﷺ is moving from one thing good to something better. He breaks his oath, even though the thing he promised to do or made oath is good in itself. But then he finds something better. He breaks the oath and he does the other thing which is better. And the Prophet ﷺ also said to one of the companions, Ya Abdurrahman, يا عبد الرحمن بن سمرة لا تسأل الإمارة فإنك إن أعطيتها عن مسألة وكلت إليها وإن أعطيتها عن غير مسألة أعنت عليها وإذا حلفت على يمين فرأيت غيرها خيرا منها فكفر عن يمينك وأنت وأت الذي هو خير. So the Prophet ﷺ said to one of the companions that do not ask to be given a position of political authority, for if you ask, you will be left on your own, to your own devices. You will not be helped in that position and responsibility. But if you are given that position by others without you asking for it, without you saying, make me governor of this place, make me prime minister, make me president, make me the emir of this thing, without you asking for it, people make you, then you will be assisted and aided by Allah in fulfilling your duties. Then he said, and when you make an oath, if you have vowed something or make an oath, but find something else better that you have sworn on, then go ahead and break your oath. Do that thing and then atone for it. So again, it's very clear that when you make an oath and it's something wrong or bad, or even if it's something good and something better comes, you should break your oath. When we get angry, this oath, it's a technical thing, cultural thing which used to exist. We don't really, when we talk and get angry, we don't really make these kinds of oaths. Not in our cultures. Most of our cultures, we don't do these oaths. But we do say something to the effect of, I swear by Allah. Or in our other languages, we do use the name of Allah very commonly. We'll come to whether that counts or not in the next verse. But the main thing is, when we cut off, the main thing is the substance. The substance is, do not cut yourself off from relations. Do not cut yourself off from doing good deeds. This is the key thing out of anger. Because when we're angry, shaitan wants to cut us off from good deeds. Shaitan wants to cut us off from maintaining our ties. In reality, when we say, I will never assist this person, I will never help that person, I will never visit this person, I will not maintain relations with my brother or my sister or my uncle or aunt, who does it affect? It affects myself. It stops me from earning reward. It pushes me to earning sin. It harms my own nafs. It benefits nobody, but it harms me. And it harms society as well. Because if everybody stopped helping each other, if everybody stopped doing good deeds, if everybody stopped paying in charity, if everybody stopped maintaining relationships within family, what would the impact be on society? Society would not function. So there's a harm to yourself first and foremost, and there's a harm to community and society. But what if someone says, yes, but the other person, he did something really unimaginable to me, or she did something really hurtful and painful. It traumatized me, and it was totally unjust. It was totally wrong. How can you expect me to maintain ties? How can you expect me to forgive that person? Why should I keep the link with that person? Remember, Islam never asks us to be a victim or to suffer at the hands of anybody. This is not what the verse is saying. When it says don't cut off relations, it's not saying if somebody is abusing you, if somebody is bullying you, if somebody is victimizing you, if somebody is treating you unfairly, causing you harm in some way, whatever that relationship is, a friend or someone you know or family member. No, it's in those instances you do what you can to stop that. Either you stop it or you make distance between that person and yourself, that's fine. But even then, you don't cut off the relationship forever. You don't say, oh, even if I pass that person, I won't even say salam. If that person says salam, you have to reply. Secondly, if that person has some haqq over you, if the person has some right over you, like you're a father to that person, that's your daughter, or that's your son, or that's your younger brother or younger sister, or that's your parent, or grandfather, or uncle, people who have rights over you, you cannot deny them their rights that they have over you just because they did something wrong to you. So Islam is not saying be a victim. You should defend yourself, protect yourself, look after your mental, physical well-being, without a doubt. But at the same time, don't make cutting off ties amongst families in such a way that you do not fulfill your rights or their rights over you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them. So your elderly parents, they have haqq over you for you to look after them. Even if they treated you badly, even if they hurt you, even if they said something, did something. But they have a right for you to serve them, look after them, or maintain them if they're weak and elderly. Same with your children, same with your brothers and sisters and other relatives. One of the things that can help someone overcome this is very difficult. If you've been wronged unjustly, somebody insults you, somebody takes away something of yours, somebody denies you of wealth and property, somebody is always backbiting you, somebody is always discriminating or treating you unfairly, it's one of the hardest things to do, to just overlook that. It's not easy, it's very difficult. Human nature is to react, is to seek revenge, is to treat him worse than he's treating you. That's human nature. She's doing that to you, he's doing that to you. You want to do it back. That's human nature. But one of the things that will help us to control that, and that's where our development comes. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala test us with these people and this behavior and these circumstances? One of the reasons is to develop us, to let us grow spiritually, to let us grow in our deen, in our obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to let us grow in our patience. And one of the ways that can help us to do this, without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help and without the knowledge of the Day of Judgment, is very difficult to do this. It's very difficult to forgive somebody. It's very difficult to treat somebody well when they've treated you completely the opposite. But one of the ways you can do this is by remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That on the Day of Judgment, how would you like to be treated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The wrongs that we do, the crimes we do, the shortcomings we have against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us to do something, do we fulfill everything? The way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to stay away from things, prohibitions, those things that are haram, do we stay away from everything? Are we fine with our account with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Are we confident on the Day of Judgment we're going to pass with flying colors? No. We know we have huge shortcomings. We know we will never make it on the Day of Judgment if we rely on our deeds alone. As the Prophet ﷺ said, none of you shall enter Jannah based on your deeds, with your deeds alone. And they said, not even you, Ya Rasulullah. And he said, not even me, unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala covers me in His mercy. Not even the Prophet ﷺ, he himself is saying, I cannot enter Jannah based on my deeds unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala covers me with His mercy, with His rahmah. So the thing that will help us overcome these difficult situations and to keep ties or to treat people, at least if you can't keep good relations because of the nature of something that's happened, but to at least not deny them their rights, at least to keep the minimum that's obligated on us with respect to family members. The way to do that is to remember how you would like to be treated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. If we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us, to overlook our faults, to love us even though we turned away from Him, to forgive us even though we had great shortcomings, even though we didn't strive in His path, even though we didn't try our best, but we want Him to accept our deeds and to forgive us, then we should also forgive people. If you want forgiveness from Allah, we need to forgive people too. The Prophet ﷺ, he was never ever, he never held a grudge, or he never got angry over any personal thing. Anybody who did something to the Prophet ﷺ related to this worldly life, or to do with his personal belongings, or to do with his private life, nothing to do with the deen, just him as a person, he never held that against anybody. He never sought revenge for that. He never got angry for that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with even the best Muslim after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, amongst this ummah, after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is the best person? Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he, as you know the story of Ifk, his daughter Aisha radiallahu anha, the mother of the believers, was falsely accused of some wrongdoing, right? She was falsely accused. There was a blemish on her character, falsely accused. And this was spreading in Medina. One of the persons who was involved, a key person who was involved in that false accusation or spreading of it, was Mistah, someone called Mistah. The Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he used to be maintaining this person through charity. This is his daughter, by the way, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. His daughter is Aisha radiallahu anha. She has been falsely accused, such a pure woman, such a high rank with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mother of the believers, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, his daughter. How would you feel if somebody accuses your daughter? And not just any daughter. This is one of the best women of the ummah. So this person who accused and was involved in spreading this slander and false accusation, he was actually someone in being maintained by Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Once this story came out, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu later said, he will stop maintaining this person. He will stop giving him charity from his donations. He would stop his income. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this verse, وَلَا يَأْتَلِ أُولُو الْفَضْلِ مِنْكُمْ وَالسَّعَةِ أَن يُؤْتُوا أُولِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْمَسَاكِينَ وَالْمُهَاجِرِينَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. And let not those amongst you who are blessed with graces and wealth swear not to give to their kinsmen, the poor, and those who left their homes for Allah's cause. Let them pardon and forgive. Do you not love that Allah should forgive you? This was, the scholars say, was revealed regarding Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when he said he will stop giving. He had a right to do that in terms of human worldly logic. This person has defamed and degraded and humiliated a member of my family, my daughter, someone who's so pure, someone who the Qur'an gave witness to her purity and to her innocence. This man who I feed, who I donate and support from my own money, went against me and did this. Of course, human nature. Why am I going to continue to pay him? But Allah says that, number one, you have been blessed with graces and wealth. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu is a wealthy man. So first of all, it's the ni'mah. This wealth comes from who? From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cutting off your relationship or your help and support. Whose help? Whose support is that? It's Allah's. It's His ni'mah. It's His rizq that He's given to you. Secondly, do not swear not to give any kind of help to your kinsmen, meaning your family members, or the poor, or those who left their homes for Allah's cause. Let them pardon and forgive. Let them pardon and forgive. Do you not love that Allah should forgive you? Very clear here. You should forgive if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you. You should pardon if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to pardon you. So this is one of the strongest, most effective ways to overcome. It's not easy. We all know, we've been in situations where somebody very close, somebody you trusted, maybe a family member, maybe a close friend, maybe a business partner who you know for many years and trusted with your life, but they let you down. They cheated you out of money. They broke your trust. They done something horrific to you, right? Or some kind of injustice to you. And that's very hurtful. It's very difficult to let go. It's very difficult to forgive. But the believer is the one who sees the long picture. He sees the true reality of everything. He sees that this dunya is temporary. He sees that this is a test to improve me. He sees that on the day of judgment, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives me, that is much of a greater achievement than me taking my anger out on this person or that person and cutting off from doing good. I will only harm myself if I take revenge, if I cut off relations, if I cut off my assistance, if I stop doing good deeds. I will only harm myself. So the verse continues that وَلَا تَجْعَلُوا اللَّهَ عُرْدَةً لِأَيْمَانِكُمْ أَن تَبَرُّوا وَتَتَّقُوا وَتُصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ وَاللَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. That do not make oath or do not take Allah's name as an oath, an excuse against being righteous, fearing Allah and making peace amongst people. So these are the three things. Make sure you don't make an oath to not do. Imagine, these are the three things which bring all khair, all good in communities and families. Right? What's the first one? Tabarru. Tabarru, bir is all righteous deeds, all good actions. Right? All good deeds that you do to others. All good actions that you do for yourself is bir. Number two is أن تبروا وتتقوا. You know, to have taqwa, to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't make an oath that goes against you fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any matter. To have taqwa, to be conscious of a day of judgment, to know Allah is watching. So don't do anything that goes against having taqwa, having this awareness of Allah, this fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number three, don't make an oath not to fix something between two people or between you and another person. وَتُصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ, between people. To make amends between people. Don't make an oath that you will never make amends between yourself and another person or between two other people. Because these are the three things, if done widespread in communities, in families, in relatives, you know, to do good, to do bir, to treat people with righteousness, gentleness, kindness, with charity, and to have taqwa, and to fix things between people, always going around fixing things, mending relationships. Those things where people have broken their relationships, you go and mend that. You bring two people together, you bring two families together. If you go around doing this, this brings all the khair in our community. Imagine everybody doing this. Imagine everybody doing this. Everybody says, I will not harm anybody, number one. I will not cheat anybody, number two. Number three, I will not injure or harm or do injustice to anybody. On top of that, I will have fear of Allah in my dealings, how I act with everybody. And on top of that, if I see two people falling out, I will go and try and mend that relationship. If everybody did this, how would our communities be? How healthy and positive would our relationship and our state be amongst ourselves. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't make an oath not to do any of these things. Wallahu sami'un alim. Meaning Allah hears everything that His servants make utterance of their speech in oaths. He hears everything. And He knows everything. He knows your intention. You know, the Arabs use that as an excuse. I can't go and do this good thing because I made an oath with Allah. He hears your oath, but He also knows what your real intention is by that oath. You did it out of spite, you did it out of anger. Allah knows what's in your heart. He not only hears your oath and speech, but He also knows your intention. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the next verse, لا يؤاخذكم الله باللغو في أيمانكم ولكن يؤاخذكم بما كسبت قلوبكم والله غفور حليم. Allah does not hold you accountable for what is unintentional in your oaths, but He holds you account for what is in your heart or what your hearts have earned, and Allah is forgiving and forbearing. So because the previous ayah, when you hear that, some people may say, what about when I make a mistake or I didn't really mean it? Because the Arabs, they used to say wallahi, billahi, tallahi all the time whenever they speak, whenever they want to say something, emphasize something, or just even in normal speech, they'll say wallahi, yes or no, la wallahi, bala wallahi. They'll say this all the time, it's part of their speech. So some people will ask, what about when we say this? Am I going to be held accountable? Is this wrong? Do I have to pay kafara? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clarifies, لا يؤاخذكم الله باللغو في أيمانكم ولكن يؤاخذكم بما كسبت قلوبكم. So laghu linguistically means that which is not necessary in speech, is something that's extra, or that which in there is no good in, or that which cancels or invalidates something. What does it mean here? In this ayah, it means that Allah will not hold you accountable for the vows you make unintentionally. Like I said, it just comes as part of your speech. Obviously, with the non-Arabs, this may not apply because we don't usually say, well, some people do these days, but naturally in our language, that's not there. But speaking to the Arabs of the time, that which they said without an intention to make an oath, Allah says He will not hold you to account for those things. For example, when some of the new Muslims who had just accepted Islam recently, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, sometimes they would make an oath by Lat and Al-Uzza, the gods that they used to worship before. They would say by Lat and Uzza. They would by mistake, because they used to say it all the time, as Muslim, sometimes by mistake they would say this. So the Prophet ﷺ said, من حلف فقال في حلفه باللات والعزى فليقل لا إله إلا الله. Simply that whoever by mistake says this, I swear by Lat or Uzza, then simply say La ilaha illallah. So they won't be held to account for that. Similarly, if anybody makes an oath which he doesn't mean, it just comes out, he just says it by and by, or for the Arabs, they used to just say it at home, Wallahi, Billahi, just as part of speech. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He will not take you to account for that. But He will call you to account, وَلَكِنْ يُؤَاخِذُكُمْ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ. Meaning that which your hearts have earned, that which you intended as an oath, you will be held accountable for that. You either fulfill that oath, or if you break it, you pay kafara, you pay the compensation. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Wallahu ghafurun halim. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving and halim. He's forgiving and forbearing. Meaning, not only He forgives your mistakes that you make unintentionally, but you make it, even though you're making it unintentionally, you're using His name. You're saying it with the name of Allah. So Allah says He's Halim. He's forbearing. He's patient with that. He overlooks that. He doesn't take you to account for that. You know, this is His quality. He's not only forgives, but He also overlooks this and allows this. There's an allowance there. He's forbearing. He's patient with the slips and the mistakes of people. And He doesn't hold you to account for those mistakes and slips. So just to summarize what we spoke about today in the two verses, in terms of the key points to remember is that number one, we should not use Allah's name or make an oath, or even without an oath, out of anger, after having an argument with somebody or something happens. We should not use that as an excuse to not do good, right? We shouldn't either cut off our good actions, whether it's charity, helping somebody, etc. And we should not cut off relationships with people just because out of anger or whatever's happened. We shouldn't cut off relationship with people totally, etc. And don't cut off yourselves from good actions. Because ultimately, as I said, only you suffer in reality. And if you want forgiveness, if you want mercy on the Day of Judgment, then we have to show forgiveness and mercy to other people. And Allah is Ghafoor, He's Halim, He doesn't take you to account for those things you do not intend. So Allah is merciful, Allah is Ghafoor, He's forgiving, and He's Halim, He overlooks our mistakes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who fix things between people. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who have the patience and the forbearance to not respond evil with evil, or injustice with injustice, or discrimination with discrimination, but rather may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthen us to be better and to respond with forgiveness or with patience and forbearing. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us on the Day of Judgment as we forgive people in this world. Ameen.